Coach Gundy and the Cowboys prepare for conference play this weekend against Baylor. OSU Cowboy basketball and Cowgirl softball spoke to the media for the first time today. And we have your national headlines coming up on today's episode of the Daily O. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Daily O. I'm Emma Lightfoot. Thank you for joining me on today's Tuesday broadcast. Let's get into all things sports happening right now. OSU football head coach Mike Gundy met with the media for his weekly luncheon yesterday. Gundy highlighted the work the Cowboys have put in the last 2 weeks to prepare for this Saturday's matchup against the Baylor Bears. Take a listen.
Get down there to Waco. Got a 2:30 kick. College football when it's supposed to be played, so it should have a great environment. Looking forward to the game. Well, it's just two different philosophies. I guess you could say a defensive head coach and an offensive head coach, maybe. They'll run the clock down and play with some tight ends and fullbacks, and they're going to run the mid-zone play, and they're going to run boots and nakeds off of it, try to get the ball out and flat, and they're going to max protect and throw it down the field. And we spread out more and play at a much faster tempo.
And him going into Saturday?
Well, he's an issue. You're talking about 62? He's a problem. He should be playing on Sundays right now. So we definitely have to know where he's at on the field. Not afraid to give him credit for who he is and what he gets accomplished, but I expect our guys to block him. He's not like we all are, but their defense is set up to not give up big plays. They're going to force you to rush the ball and be a successful intermediate passing team, and we understand that. It's no secret. This group is pretty focused and committed to each other. I feel good about the chemistry amongst the guys and the leadership we have, so that plays a role. And I think they're focused. I think it's important to them. I think they care about each other. We'll know a lot more about ourselves as a team in a month. We're getting ready to get into the meat of it, and we'll get a pretty good feel. We'll have some conference road games, some home games against good teams. So we'll know a lot more about us in a month.
How different is it?
He's been around a long time and obviously raised and developed in Coach Snyder's system at Kansas State, which is tough, hard-nosed offensive line play and block. And so he has that instilled in him. He was there for a long time, and that's why we want him to be a part of our staff. So he understands the challenge that we have this week, and I'm sure is looking forward to the same thing that they're trying to get accomplished against our defensive line. I don't know, somebody could do the research. There's probably more fourth downs attempted this last Saturday than maybe ever on one single Saturday in a Big 12 play. I think the parity in this league is maybe more than ever each year, and I've said this for a number of years. I think it's as attractive league as it gets. I don't know if there's very many teams in this league that even have a losing record right now, if any. We're still to a point in the season where special teams yards, turnovers, and missed assignments play more of a factor than anything in the game. We'll grow out of that in 2 or 3 weeks when teams.
Up next on the Daily O, OSU football players met with the media last week to talk about the bye week and starting conference play. Also, don't miss our What Happened on This Day segment, where we tell you what happened on this day in sports. Don't go anywhere, and the Daily O will be right back.
Pecans are staple to Oklahoma. In fact, many of our native pecans come from trees that are older than Oklahoma statehood.
My father's the one that got us started into the pecan picking. I was probably 10 or 12 years old, and we started off with one little mechanical picker that you pulled behind a four-wheeler. Then we'd go home at night and we'd clean them on a TV tray. I guess watching my dad work hard when we were young, and people started trusting him and getting more and more groves, we just kept growing.
Being a relatively new and fresh company, we get to sit in the same room with people who have been a part of the Oklahoma economy for decades.
It's opened a lot of doors. It's gave us quite a bit of exposure, and I think people, will take a small company like us a little more serious. We're just going to continue growing as long as our community lets us and our customers keep on buying, and we'll see where it takes us.
I'm Kristen Hawkins. I went to Oklahoma State University here in Stillwater in '99 to 2004. I've always felt like Stillwater needed more family-friendly things to do, and we have opened up AR Workshop. We do everything from knitting blankets that can be done in a 3-hour class. We create doormats and porch signs, the Christmas wreaths with our yarn that we use for the blankets. We also do, we just started a new project for gnomes. We've done pumpkins during the fall, but our big thing that we do here are interior signs. Our designs are extremely unique to AR Workshop. Customers come in, everything is here for them to do. They create everything. They can be as hands-on as they want. They came in here to relax and have fun, and that they are proud of their project that they've made.
You may have been to casinos at some point in your life, but do you really know the truth behind the game you're playing?
And the casinos were very polemic or very controversial when they came out. But the truth was, that's all the federal government gave us.
Casino is owned by the Chickasaw Nation and has roughly 600,000 square feet of dedicated gambling space, making it the world's largest casino. It contributed massively to the Chickasaw Nation posting a net revenue of $1.4 billion for the fiscal year of 2017.
Welcome back to the Daily O. Thanks for sticking around. Last week, Oklahoma State football players met with the media to talk about the break from action last weekend and prepare for games upcoming this week. While Oklahoma State fans have done their best to forget about last year's conference championship game against Baylor, receiver Brennan Presley had this to say about the upcoming game.
I think I'd be lying if people. Okay. I think I'd be lying if I said it's not on people's minds, of course. But like I said earlier, like if you use it to your advantage, then it can be a good thing. If you use it as a disadvantage and start, taking emotions to it, then it could be a disadvantage because you start going into the game playing undisciplined, mad, all these other things. Rather than if you use it to your advantage, and then it brings the team together and they're like collectively like, hey, this is not a rematch of the Big 12. This is a new set of teams. We're going at each other, and it's just try to treat it as much as a normal game as possible with.
Presley's teammate, safety Jason Taylor, shares a similar mindset going into this weekend's game.
Right here, but I can't really look too focused on that game last year. It's a lot of different factors and two different teams. Their team has changed a lot. Our team has changed a lot. But this is a new game and a new. Next Saturday we'll play on a new team. So that's how I kind of look at it.
Lineman Preston Wilson faces a unique challenge this week, as he and his line mates are facing off against strong defensive opponents, such as Siaki Ika and TJ Franklin. He had this to say about them.
Man, those are two great players, phenomenal players. Played them both before. Nothing but respect for those guys. They're phenomenal players, and I'm looking forward to playing them again, just like they're looking forward to playing me. So it'll be a good time. We're going to take a lot of preparation. It's a good week to kind of, figure things out and kind of get this ball rolling. So it's going to be.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we have your Monday night football recap, and 2 OSU teams met with the media today for the first time this season. Updates on all that and more coming up next on the Daily O.
Oh, there you go. Superstar.
The end of the practice is when we do all of our, intensity drills.
Okay.
She was going at it.
Stop. If we get them to Detroit by, let's say Monday the 15th. Time's right there. There we go. Yeah. Just, you can't.
Don't want to talk about it.
When you see the water tower, you're going to make a right.
If we win this, this is the one way to get to the playoffs. I know.
we use the very best of the best ingredients. Demerara sugar is the best that is. Very high quality fruits, berries. The milk we use is the best milk there is. That's why it makes our product stand by itself. I like to make yogurt because I like to eat yogurt. We've been doing this for ourselves for many years because it's a tradition in our family. And we want to have a product which would be very similar to French yogurt, but with our touch of uniqueness, linking our name, our product, with the reputation of the Made in Oklahoma Coalition was probably the best thing we have done as far as promoting our product.
Welcome back to the Daily O. While it may not quite be spring season, that doesn't mean that you'll be deprived of some Cowgirl softball action this week. Softball Cowgirls will host their first fall ball game of the season tomorrow night, facing off against the USAO Drovers. First pitch for that game will be at 5 p.m. The Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants faced off last night for an NFC East showdown. The Cowboys improved to 2-1 on the season with a 23-16 division win with the help of edge DeMarcus Lawrence, who finished the game with 6 tackles, 3 sacks, and 3 tackles for loss. Cowboys corner Trayvon Diggs had his first interception on the season to seal the game for the Cowboys with 1 minute and 11 seconds left in the fourth quarter. On the Giants side of the ball, Saquon Barkley commanded the run game with 81 yards on 14 carries, including a 36-yard touchdown run to give the Giants their only lead of the game. He also secured 4 passes for 45 extra yards. First-year Giants head coach Brian Daboll suffered the team's first loss on the season, bringing the Giants' record to 2 wins and 1 loss. Coming up on the Daily O, find out what happened on this day in sports history. And stick around to find out what korfball is. The Daily O will be right back.
We would design something, it was set on the counter, and people was either, if enough of them said, you know, this isn't it, it never made to the line. Dad was excited that they're all original. They were all designed on Mom's kitchen table, and it gets in your blood after a while.
We're very happy that Pamela and Michael have taken over the business and kept the family going.
We took the business over in 2017. When we found that it was available, we wanted to keep the legacy of family alive, but it was also incredible products that deserved to be a part of Made in Oklahoma's story. We were a part of Made in Oklahoma years ago, and so it kind of grew as Made in Oklahoma grew.
Oklahoma is ingrained into everything that we did. We've been here most of our life. That's what we entailed our whole business on, was the Oklahoma homegrown feeling.
Our state is one of the most beautiful and unique states in the USA. With diverse geographies, the historic Route 66, unforgettable restaurants, and some of the greatest people on the planet. With so much to see and so much to do, living in Oklahoma means one of the best vacation spots is right in our own backyard. Doesn't this story need to be told? As filmmakers and photographers based right here in Oklahoma, we thought so. And hey, who doesn't like a good road trip? So, we packed up our cameras, teamed up with Lieutenant Governor Matt Pinnell and the Oklahoma Tourism and Recreation Department, and that's how this series was born. We want to show you why traveling within the great state of Oklahoma is a great idea. So come join us for thousands of miles over the next year, from Broken Bow to Black Mesa. This is the Oklahoma Road Trip.
Hi, I'm Shauna here at Where the Buffalo Roam in beautiful downtown Pawnee, Oklahoma. We have a lot of beautiful and unique items for sale in the store, but our number one items are Navajo jewelry, Pendleton blankets, and Consuela. It's a great place to shop, a beautiful downtown, so come see us in Pawnee, Oklahoma.
Well, how I got started was my daughter said, "Mama, why don't we rent a booth at the Quarter Horse Show?" And it was very, very good because, you know, when you're giving your jelly away for free, people really do love it. But when you ask them to pay for it, then that's a true test. What makes my product so unique is the Scotch bonnet pepper. And the Scotch bonnet is the Jamaican pepper. And I had lived in Montego Bay, Jamaica for 4 years. So I learned how to handle the pepper and how to cook with it. I always say, you don't do this on your own. I mean, you have so many people that help you along the way. For me and for many of us, that's my name on that jar, and it better be good.
Welcome back to the final segment of the Daily O. Before we let you go, it's time for On This Day in Sports History. Today is a busy day in sports history as we go all the way back to 1936, when the Boston Redskins and the Brooklyn Dodgers competed in one of 4 penalty-free NFL games in history. This game was the second penalty-free contest in NFL history, and we haven't seen one since the Pittsburgh Steelers and Philadelphia Eagles faced off in 1940. In 1992, the Los Angeles Dodgers came in last place in the MLB for the first time in team history. And finally, to wrap up On This Day in Sports, the USA baseball team wins an Olympic gold medal back in the year 2000, led by manager Tommy Lasorda. The United States won the gold medal by defeating Cuba 4-0. Since becoming a medal sport, it was the first time Cuba had not won the gold medal. The gold medal game was also only the second game Cuba had lost in Olympic baseball, having lost to the Netherlands earlier in the tournament. South Korea won their first Olympic baseball medal, beating Japan in the bronze medal match 3-1. And speaking of celebrations, it's time for some birthday shout-outs. Hall of Fame third baseman for the Philadelphia Phillies, Mike Schmidt, turned 73 today. Regarded as one of the greatest third basemen of all time, the 12-time All-Star played for 18 seasons, all with the Phillies, and was a 3-time MVP. In those 18 seasons, he won 10 Golden Gloves and led the league in home runs 8 times. It's also Steve Kerr's 57th birthday. Kerr is currently a head coach of the reigning NBA champions, the Golden State Warriors. The 9-time NBA champion, winning 5 times as a player and 4 times as a coach, was honored as Coach of the Year during the 2015-2016 season, when the Warriors finished the season with 73 wins and only 9 losses, securing the team's first championship win since 1975. In national headlines, Hurricane Ian is making its way to the United States. As it has been updated to a Category 3 storm, the East Coast has already experienced part of the hurricane's effects, as parts of the Caribbean have already dealt with damage. An evacuation warning has taken place in Florida and has also forced the temporary relocation of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are now practicing with the Miami Dolphins. Tune in to the Daily O for more updates on Hurricane Ian and its impact. The push for MLB playoffs have tightened up as teams scramble for the remaining spots. Looking at the divisional race in the NL East, the reigning World Series champs Atlanta Braves sit 1 game behind the New York Mets for first place in the East. The Braves and Mets both have 8 games remaining on the schedule, including a 3-game series between the two starting this Friday. Meanwhile, the NL is locked in a 3-team race for the final 2 playoff spots between San Diego, Philadelphia, and Milwaukee. The AL is facing a similar situation with an extra team. Only 2 playoff spots remain for either Toronto, Tampa Bay, Seattle, and Baltimore. With the baseball regular season ending soon, it's time for the remaining contenders to make their final push. Speaking of the MLB, Aaron Judge is looking to hit his 61st home run of the 22 campaign tonight against the Blue Jays. The AL record for most home runs in a season belongs to Roger Maris, who set the record back in 1961. Judge launched his 60th of the season a week ago and has kept baseball fans on their toes as if to see if he'll hit the awe-inspiring 61st. The Yankees only have 8 more regular season games for Aaron Judge to complete this task. It's time for today's edition of Weird Sports, and today's sport is korfball. Yes, korfball, invented by Dutch schoolteacher Nico Broekhuizen in 1902. It is a sport that involves 2 teams of 4 men and 4 women per team. It's very similar to netball, as the object of the game is to sink the ball into a netless basket on a pole 3.5 meters in the air. The biggest difference between these sports is obviously the inclusion of a net. The sport is the most popular in the Netherlands, where there are over 500 clubs and more than 90,000 players. It's also played in almost 70 other countries. And a fun fact about korfball is that it was an Olympic sport in 1920 and 1928 and has been played at the World Games since 1984. It's possible to play korfball inside or outside, depending on the season and the weather. A once every 4-year tournament takes place where the best korfball athletes take each other on to find out who is the best. And spoiler alert, it's usually the Netherlands, who have won 7 straight and 10 total IKF World Korfball Championships. Well, that'll do it for our show today. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Tune into the show tomorrow, where Aaron Gonders has more in store just for you. For the Daily O, I'm Emma Lightfoot.
A Golf Digest 5-star course, Best New Public Course won an Open in 1994, and a top 100 public golf course in America since 2003. This course, just 5 miles outside of Stillwater, Oklahoma on Highway 51, is named after one of the influential golf pioneers this game has known.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek.
Karsten Creek's a modern golf course.
The beauty of the course is in large part to the elements of the grounds. The Georgia fairways transformed from its original forested landscape. Georgia was used to combat the tough winters so golfers could play year-round. The greens are large and sloping bent grass hills. The low-cut bent grass can be similar to glass during peak championship conditions. The bunkers surrounding most holes remind golfers of a white beach rather than a deep hazard. Lake Louise, surrounded by the second 9, completes the perfect finishing hole. The long par 72 course perfectly combines nature with the difficulty of a championship course. Karsten's added challenge is the Oklahoma wind.
So there aren't any other schools in the country that have that same commitment to college golf as we do here at Oklahoma State.
But if you're going to play at the highest level, you've got to be able to focus on where you want to go, and Karsten Creek does a good job of training you to do that, because if you don't, you're going to have a long day. And that's a great legacy that Coach Holder left, because that's the way he coached.
Tucked away in the city of Ripley, Oklahoma, the award-winning Washington Irving Trail Museum showcases the heritage and history of Payne County. This museum holds antiques, treasures, and artifacts that one cannot find at any other museum. With hundreds of historical antiques that display OSU history, along with Native American history, the museum has it all. The museum is well known for their book containing pictures and news articles about Frank Eaton, the original Pistol Pete. Dale Kluber opened Washington Irving Trail Museum in 1994 with its collection of historical mementos. This museum is filled from wall to wall with Oklahoman history. The Washington Irving Trail Museum is 15 minutes outside of Stillwater. Experience history at one of Oklahoma's hidden gems.
My name's Kayla. I've been here since the beginning, so 4 years. Scratch is more focused on farm and mostly made in Oklahoma products, keeping it local. Sustainability is our biggest thing. That's one of the reasons why this place opened.
I've been the chef here at Scratch for 2.5 years. Started here as a line cook. Our food and drinks are a bit separate entities almost inside the restaurant. So the food is now up to 85% of the products we bring in are raised or grown locally. It's all based off of things that I grew up eating in southern Oklahoma, the things my grandparents ate,
Fresh food, clean food, organic food, sustainability, that's all of our thing. From front of house to back of house, we're able to maintain both with freshness. But made in Oklahoma means we get it straight from the farms that are 20, 30 minutes, another little county away. We get it straight from them.